Okay? This is a story about a little boy named Peter, just like you. And it all started on the first day of spring, just like today. Right here in this very cottage.
Quack, quack! Quack!
Character animation means bringing to life, and of course, basically, my area has been in humor and getting laughs and so on. And Peter and the Wolf is a very touching story. It's exactly the same problem that a live-action director has, and that's to make your actor, in our case, the drawings, believable, and have them move so that people recognize in the film that they're seeing something of themselves.
One of the first things that happens in an animation production is the recording of the voices. And in the case of Peter and the Wolf, we had three phenomenal actors. Ross Mallinger as Peter, Lloyd Bridges as grandfather. Lloyd has 13 grandchildren of his own. So on top of being an incredible actor, he was a natural for this part. And then Kirstie Alley played Peter's mother, Annie, and narrated, and did the voices of the duck, the cat, all of the animals.
But the duck is in heaven, swimming leisurely around the pond.
Kirstie's a phenomenal actress and a phenomenal mimic. She really got so into this part. And then Lloyd, he's a legend, and he is such an incredible actor. He brought this part alive in so many different ways.
Stay out of the water and the meadow.
Hey, what are you
Ross
doing over there?
stole my heart when I saw him in Sleepless in Seattle. And at that moment I said, this is the kid who has to play Peter. In fact, all three of these actors were my first choices.
Hey, what are you doing over there? Everything turned out okay, didn't it? Listen, you'll never have to be scared again, because I'll always be here to protect you.
The cat decides that
As a director, there is just nothing better than working with actors of this exceptional ability. It was so exciting to get started and see this project come to life with their voices.
With a flurry of the flute, the bird takes to the air, streaking away from the leaping cat with lightning speed. And with a quack of the oboe, the duck makes a beeline out of the way, a blur of feathers, webbed feet, and water splashing everything in sight. Quack! 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 Quack!
One of the really fun aspects of recording the animated script was, I think we kind of put in some of the animal dialogue sort of more as a tracking thing, like we'll put in quack quack because we want to know that we want to insert a quack, and Kirstie just kind of threw in a quack, and boy is she good at quacking. And
Quack, quack. Let me get my quacks. Hold on, let me just quack well. Quack, 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 quack. Quack! 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 Quack!
that's it. Let's party, it's some vacation.
So now we had the voices recorded, and we had these wonderful animation characters designed by Chuck Jones. So it was actually time to start the animation. So off we went to England, to Cosgrove Hall Animation in Manchester. We wanted to find an animation company that could take Chuck's brilliant characters and realize them in a way that was in keeping with the traditions that he had established over the course of his 60-year career and 4 Academy Awards. There are so many people that are involved with an animation production: animators, background artists, layout artists, painters, in-betweeners. But the pivotal person is the animation director. In the case of this production, we were truly fortunate to have a masterful animation director named Gene Flynn, who also had the patience of a saint.
Most animated films are based on dialogue, and this one is really totally based on music, although there is dialogue in it. So the actual problems we've had making Peter and the Wolf have been very interesting ones. There's 4 bars here, very quick notes. So you've had your leisurely swim, and then these notes start. So if I play it for you, you might be able to spot it. So there's your leisurely. Here we go. These are all these notes here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, flute. Flute again. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, break. We discussed the scene, we'd act it out. We discussed the characterisation. Mr. Jones was very particular that we shouldn't lose sight of the character of the animals and Peter in the thing, and that was a very important thing, to make sure that the animators understood that the wolf was always ominous, the cat was playful and a bit of a coward, and the bird was heroic.
When I approach any character, be it Peter or be it Bugs Bunny or be it whoever it is, I have to put that part on, I have to don it. It's George Orwell one time said that I never met a man worse than I am. And Laurence Olivier could say so too. And Daffy Duck lives within me as surely as Bugs Bunny did, perhaps more surely, because I'm more familiar, as most of us are, with mistakes than I am with triumphs. And so it's easy to put that part on. But when you do that, then with Peter, all I have to do is reflect. I don't have to go back and say, how did I feel when I was a boy? The boy still lives within me. I put that part on.
I suppose he set the standard, really. You always look back to something, the timing, the way that he brings the characters to life. The movement was sort of suggested by the drawings that Chuck did, so that we used them to animate the characters, to see how he wanted them to move. When we've actually finished the drawings, it used to go to the paint and trace department to be painted actually by hand with a paintbrush, but these days it's computer painted. And they actually scan them into a computer and paint them by they've got a palette of colours in a computer that you just couldn't possibly match with paint. It's such a choice of colours to work with, and you don't actually get it onto cell these days. It's just somewhere in the computer system.
As the director of this whole production, watching the animation process unfold was a very, very exciting time, because we were starting to see something now. We were starting to see this production, come to life through the talents of so many individual artists who are all working together to make this animation, happen. So now that was underway, we turned our sights to the live action portion of this production and started building the set in Los Angeles. In this particular production, at certain stages, we've seen it all grow. We started with a set design on paper, and it became a set right here. It became a real house, it became a real place. At certain things, the reality of what you're doing kicks in. You say, yeah, this is going to work, yeah, this is going to work. You can see what it's going to be now, and that's exciting. It's like, this is like the sonogram before you have a baby, kind of. It's starting to take a shape. It's a real place now, which is kind of scary because, it's off the page now. Microwave was there.
So we shape each stone separately. And we mix plaster with vermiculite so that it's a little bit lighter, because this set has to be taken apart and moved. Then we'll spray a dark color down in here, and then sponge and brush some other colors on the top, and it'll end up basically this color, but with more variation.
Tus tráilers. Visita mi canal.
When the set was finished, it was so beautiful and so real that I just wanted to ship it up to Northern California and live in it. But you know, the time had arrived to actually make this film, to add the lights, the crew, the cameras, and of course the actors. It's time to shoot Peter and the Wolf.
Okay, can we get a chopper in, please? A chopper in on this line over here, with the 5K coming through this window.
What's my first line now? Oh God, why'd I get into this business? So my first line, how do I feel now? What am I supposed to do when I get out there? I'm just acting, of course.
Stand by.
My first line is, oh, I miss you so much. I'm all right now. I got my first line.
Big.
Grandpa! Grandpa!
I missed you so much. Oh, I almost forgot. This is Peter. This is your grandson.
Hello, Peter.
Hello, Grandpa.
Every so often when we were filming, I would forget I was the director and totally lose myself in watching these three actors who created this completely believable family. They looked like they'd been together for a million years. And I was really in awe of that, their ability to do that. And you know, when you're creating a film, especially when you're writing it, you hope and pray for moments like those when it just all comes together.
I love you!
I was not going to tell that story.
You certainly were going to...
All right.
Now, Lloyd, if you think about it, and this is it's not the end of the world either way, but at the very end, when you say, well, maybe you should tell it.
I don't know, maybe you better tell the story. You are the parent now, not I.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is a story about a little boy named Peter, just like you. And it all started on the first day of spring, just like today. Right here in this very cottage.
Long before I was a director and a writer, I was a conductor and a musician. And Peter and the Wolf was the first piece of music I had ever conducted way back when I was 14 years old. I loved this piece of music ever since I was a little kid. And so for me, it's all come full circle now. Making a movie is a totally miraculous phenomenon. It takes 200 people who all start out as strangers, but in the end come together as one, whose sole goal is to make a film that hopefully people will love. And that's sort of what it's all about. During the course of this film, both Lloyd Bridges and Chuck Jones said to me in different ways, making a movie is 95% sweat and 5% love, and only the love should show.
Hi, I'm Julia Glander, and welcome to the magical musical world behind the story of Peter and the Wolf. Now that you've seen Peter's incredible adventure out there in the meadow, you may have noticed that Peter, and all of the characters actually, have something very special in common. You see, each of them, Peter, the duck, the cat, the bird, the wolf, the hunters, and even grandfather were accompanied by a musical theme, played by a specific instrument or group of instruments. What's a theme? Well, a theme is a melody, a group of notes. When you hum the first few notes of your favorite song, that's a theme. And in the case of Peter and the Wolf, it's no accident that the characters have their very own special musical personalities. That's why Peter and the Wolf was written in the first place. The famous Russian composer Sergei Prokofiev wanted to find a way to introduce the instruments of the symphony orchestra to children, just like you. And he decided the very best way to do this would be to invent a wonderful, adventurous story where the characters were portrayed by musical instruments instead of actors. And so, in 1936, Peter and the Wolf was first performed in Russia. And ever since, it has been loved by children and adults all over the world. Now, where would we go to find these adventuresome musical instruments who bring Prokofiev's characters and music to life? Back to the meadow? I don't think so. But how about the stage of the concert hall, where the symphony orchestra makes its home? A symphony orchestra is organized on the stage in almost the same way all over the world. So whether you're in America or Russia or China, you'll almost always find the string section, the violins, violas, cellos, and basses grouped down in front. The woodwinds, the flutes, clarinets, oboes, and bassoons, are in the middle. Toward the back, you'll find the brass players, the French horns, trumpets, and trombones. And all the way in the rear, the percussion instruments, booming drums, cymbals, and the majestic timpani or kettle drums. Out of this extraordinary family of musical instruments, Prokofiev carefully selected his cast of players. And just like the director of a film or a play, he chose musical actors who could best portray the emotions and personalities of the characters he had created. For the bird, Prokofiev chose the beautiful flutter of the flute, whose chirpy notes and dazzling scales were quick to capture the soaring flight of Peter's best friend. Next, we meet the duck. What instrument could sound like a duck, Prokofiev thought, waddling and a little awkward. Listen to the moody call of the oboe, and you can just imagine a little duck quacking along on his way to the pond. The cat was not so obvious. Sometimes the cat is quick and graceful. At other times, he's careful and calculating as he creeps through the tall grass. Prokofiev decided to have the part of the cat be voiced by the reedy tones of the clarinet. There was only one choice for grandfather's gruff, raspy voice. The lowest, funniest, oldest-sounding instrument in the orchestra, the bassoon. But what about the wolf? Well, the wolf is so big and terrifying that Prokofiev decided that one instrument was just not enough. So he gave our villain his deep and threatening voice, not with one, nor even with two, but with 3 French horns.
Tus trailers, visita mi canal.
And the hunters certainly make a racket with the firing of their guns. The resounding boom of the timpani signals their cacophonous arrival on the scene. Well, that's everybody. Whoops, almost everybody. Who's left? Of course, it's our hero, Peter. And for Peter, Prokofiev decided that the lively, youthful sound of the entire string section would best bring the adventuresome boy to life. Of course, it wasn't just enough to pick an instrument and write a theme. Now Prokofiev was ready to tell his story, and to do so, his musical actors, the instruments of the orchestra, wove their melodies together to form a beautiful symphonic tale. Of course, Prokofiev didn't just settle for letting his actors simply talk to themselves. Instead, thanks to his beautiful music, they actually had conversations with each other, as one theme and instrument would intertwine with another. What, you don't believe me? Just listen to Peter and the bird. Or the bird and the duck duking it out. Or how about three themes? The wolf, the cat, and the bird. Well, I'm sure you're starting to get the picture. And as the old saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But when you hear the incredible range of emotions, actions, and expressions the instruments convey within Peter and the Wolf, you realize Prokofiev's music is worth even more.
Hey, what are you doing over there? Everything turned out okay, didn't it? Listen, you'll never have to be scared again, 'cause I'll always be here to protect you.